Faith and religious freedom are front and center this week. Both presidential candidates have been making appeals to faith-based voters this week. Even so, many religious Americans feel Washington's out of touch with them on that issue. Well, Congresswoman Virginia Foxx has a brand new book called God is in the House, compiling stories of faith from both sides of the aisle. She joins us now from her home state of North Carolina. Representative, great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for having me and having this story on. It is timely, I believe.
You know what? We have so much anxiety and so much tension between the parties on a number of issues, and certainly on the campaign trail. But I thought it was great that you collected stories from people on both sides of the aisle who say in different ways, different faiths have made a big difference in their lives. Is there a story or two that you'd like to share?
Well, I think Sam Johnson's story is so extraordinary. He spent 7 years in the Hanoi Hilton as a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War, and his story is wonderful. I'm very fond of Janice Hahn's story. Janice is a member of Congress from California. Philosophically, she and I don't agree on a lot, but we attend a Bible study together and prayer breakfast together. So I like their stories. Chris Stewart, who came along about 4 years ago, really helped me find a publisher for the book. I've been working on this for a long time. I got to Congress under very improbable circumstances. I have no reason to be there. I come from extreme poverty, parents with no advantage, not much formal education, and yet I got to Congress. And I started hearing stories from other members of unusual things happening in their lives, or some people would call them unusual things. I call them God things. And I heard those stories and I started collecting them and then looking for a publisher. And when Chris Stewart came to Congress, he's a New York Times bestseller author. He put me in touch with a publisher, Shadow Mountain out in Utah, and they liked the stories. So the whole book is a series of God things.
I want to ask you too, you mentioned Representative Hahn, a Democrat, and you have differences on a lot of things, but you share faith. I know that she talks a lot about that faith can be a healer with race issues and some of the really tough things that we're trying to tackle in today's society.
Absolutely. There's also a story in here by our chaplain, former chaplain, who was the first Catholic priest to be the chaplain, and he talks about faith as healing between the parties. And actually, Shannon, we get along much better than the media sometimes portrays it. Most of the bills that we've passed this year, this session, have passed with strong bipartisan support, and yet that gets no play. But I think it's really important that the public understand there are people of faith and that our faith guides us as we make decisions in the Congress. Now I have only members of the House because those are the stories I've heard, but I know that's true in the Senate also. And the title of the book was obviously God-inspired also. You know, the title God is in the House. I wanted people to know of our faith and say to themselves, if they're people of strong faith, think about running for office yourself. Don't wait, for somebody else to prompt you. Listen for the words of God. Listen to see if God is encouraging to get involved in the political process.
And Congresswoman, we've got to leave it there. It's a very interesting book across party lines and faiths, and people of no faith would enjoy it as well. We wish you the best with it. Thank you. I'm sorry, we're out of time, or the show's going to get us cut off, but thank you so much for having us, and we'll tweet out some information as well.
Thank you.
Out on the Twitterverse.
I know. I'm sorry. We are out of time.
A lot of news, though, to follow today. See what's happening in Louisiana and also see how Milwaukee is tonight in terms of whether it's peaceful or not. We certainly hope peaceful.
Yeah, we will continue to watch that from Washington. By the way, Fox News Sunday is up next.
Have a great Sunday.
You can run an errand